Hello and welcome to Last Time On. This is the podcast where we pick a prestige television show. We watch the first episode, we roll some dice, we skip a bunch of episodes, and we try to figure out what happened last time on. I'm Jafar.
I am Ben.
Hey, I'm Victor.
You sound a little defeated there, guy. Everything
Yeah,
okay?
I'm a little sad. Yeah.
What's going on?
I got passed over for Pope again.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know that meant a lot to you.
Like I said, Victor, they called me for references and I couldn't lie.
Damn you, Ben. Damn, curse you and your lawful goodness. Yeah. I said I could only use that joke for another week or so, and well, it's still funny, so yeah.
Yeah, we got Chicago Pope now.
Yeah.
Chicago, that's so funny. I didn't even realize he was from Chicago until someone in the lab posted a joke about one of my friends from New York was all just like hell no, he's going to declare all pizza Chicago style.
I just didn't know they were expanding the Chicago line of TV shows because we've already got Chicago PD and Chicago Fire and Chicago. Now we've got Chicago Pope.
Chicago Pope.
So he is a White Sox fan.
Yes. If he was a Cubs fan, I would schism all over again.
At least there's that.
Well, speaking of schisming all over the place.
Well, and speaking of sports, we open with...
we should probably tell the audience we are doing Season 2 of Billions, Episode 3. Yeah, Optimal Play. Yep.
Yeah. We open on Axelrod talking with Steve Tisch.
I was wondering who that was he was talking to.
He is the co-owner of the Giants.
Okay, I figured he was an actual person.
Yes. And this is why you don't bring in actual people. Because whenever, for as much as sometimes we're just like, oh man, some of this acting is bad, this is atrocious.
Yeah.
And
my God, dude, middle school theater clubs are better acting than this guy. He's just you can see it on his face. Walk 6 paces, turn to the left, read the cue card, And
I can
Line.
get, you're excited, hey, we can actually, get the co-owner of the Giants. Unless you are a Giants fan, you do not know who this asshole is. Mm-hmm. And I get, it's cool, we've got access to these people. Yeah, it's just, I know sometimes it gets exciting, hey, we can get an actual newscaster, but don't do this.
It's good whenever they get a newscaster for, a movie
because they know how to be on TV.
Yeah, they're just doing their usual thing, yeah. Something I noticed that they do a lot in Battlestar Galactica, something that I haven't seen in any other TV show, is whenever they do the recap, and whenever the writers need to do, a quick retcon or add in some context, they'll have, Adama and Ty, shots of them talking to each other, and they'll take a shot of Adama from behind, so you only see the back of his head, and he'll dub over some audio, so it looks like he's saying something, and then they'll do the exact same thing from the opposite angle, where you see the back of it, so you can't actually see their mouth moving. That's what they should have done with this guy. Show a shot of his face, and then have an actual actor, a voice actor or something, overdub his lines. So.
But they are talking, Axelrod is talking about purchasing an NFL team. I don't believe in the episode.
They don't. Because I had a whole bit planned where we would have done, guessing if I could have figured it out, but I could not figure it out without learning, Googling things about the show. So I was trying to figure out, what teams might have been for sale around this time, and I was very wary in the Googling because I didn't want anything with the show, and so I was not able to learn what the team was, and they did not tell us.
You playing the foosball behind my back?
Wish it was the Cowboys. I just don't want... Jerry Jones needs to just not be in charge of the Cowboys anymore.
Just die. You can say die. He's
old. He can retire, and I'll be, hey, you did some good stuff in the 90s. Please leave my football team alone.
Right. So we open, and we actually get an intro for this show, which is just the laziest intro ever. It's just... Arial type font with on a black background, Billions, and then a quick drone shot of Manhattan.
This is Lost's fault.
Is it?
They got rid of the title sequence. They got rid of the theme song.
That is Lost's fault, 100%.
Is it? I feel like it's just because of for a show about opulence, having the cheapest intro ever. I don't know what to think of that.
I would love a 90s sitcom style theme, like where it's just some upbeat thing and it's like Damian Lewis and Paul Giamatti turned into camera and smiling and it's like Paul Giamatti at his desk like with papers like, oh, how am I gonna catch these guys?
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like a Friends style intro.
There's like a solid 8 to 10 years of television that is post Lost, pre Game of Thrones, where we just lost theme songs entirely.
You're
Yes.
right, yeah, because now everyone's trying to do the Game of Thrones thing with a big elaborate intro that costs like half the production cost of the actual episode, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's also just because it's Lost got away with it because like they were the first, but after that it was just, well, now it's boring and you don't have a sound cue that makes people think of your show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, back to Battlestar Galactica, they had 3 different intros for every fucking episode. You know, they had like the recap with the story and the piano, and then the intro, and then the montage of what you're about to get in the episode. Like, fuck, dude, they made a lot of work for themselves.
Yeah.
Well, but they also, hey, we got ourselves 2 free minutes where we don't have to write anything.
Nice.
All right, so this episode's moving. We see Chuck and Wendy in therapy.
Yes.
They are separated, and it, quote, runs deep.
I called it. Got my points. Woo! Didn't think it would happen this quick, but I got it.
Ben, what happened her?
What the hell happened?
But I got the van.
So, what I believe happened here. We know that Wendy and Chuck, they play games. They play mind games and they play physical games.
Yeah.
And it went too far.
Ooh.
And a mind
What's too
game
far for them?
accidentally came to fruition during a physical game. And Wendy found out that Chuck was investigating Axelrod and Axcap while Chuck was tied up, and she left him there.
Oh!
And so he is left tied up, cigarette still burning in the stern bush. Well, she's just like, I can't believe this. What are you? You're destroying my life. You didn't warn me? And he's just like, because he's gagged. And she left him there, and he was there for 36 hours.
Ooh.
Oh, that's no good. That's a messy time.
It
to be
is.
tied up. That's a messy amount of time.
And unfortunately for Chuck, because, like, the power thing is also, you know, degrading, it was terrifying, but it was also the most aroused he's ever been. And he's going to spend the rest of the show chasing that high.
Ooh.
Like, he's never going to be that submissive again as when he was abandoned for 36 hours.
Okay.
Best weekend ever.
So, this is when we learn about the poker tournament here. Axelrod's
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yeah, Bobby and Gail are taking a walk, and they're talking about the drama going down on Twitter. This is back when Twitter was Twitter, before it was Twix. And the big charity poker tournament is called the Alpha Cup.
Yeah.
And I'm just
And
like,
Of course
wow,
it is.
not being subtle at all there, guys.
And unfortunately, Victor, it's not left Twix, it's right Twix. Jafar got it.
I followed. Okay.
You
Is
said
the-
it's not Twitter, it's Twix.
Yeah.
And they have that whole thing, is it a left Twix or is it a right Twix? It's right
Oh.
Twix.
Is
Which
the
is
left?
to say it's right leaning, as in it's
Nazi-
really
Nazi
conservative.
shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking too.
Clearly,
too
you are
deep
not
into
as
it.
ingrained in candy bar catchphrases.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what I was figuring. I'm just like, did I miss something? Is one of the Twix sticks better than the other? Like,
No, but that
is
has
it
been
right
their
or left?
marketing for the last 15 years. Is
Wow, I'm completely oblivious.
there
to
is
that
the
one.
left Twix factory and the right Twix factory, and like they send spies, and the whole thing is like they're the same.
Damn, I completely missed that. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I
Have
start
this-
a candy bar podcast, Ben. I would listen to you talk about candy bars.
I love like weird niche Like, I listen to a cereal podcast, and no, not that one. It's about cereal and the cereal industry.
Okay, he's cereal.
Are you familiar with the Dull Men's Club?
No.
Join the Dull Men's Club group on Facebook. It's hilarious. You'll enjoy it.
I mean, I have long said that if my life could just be, like, sitting in a library reading books about a boat, I'd be a very happy person.
They actually made the news last week because one of their members noticed that a McDonald's sign, I think it was in a New York shopping mall or something, was missing the cutout for the D, and it just had the thing there. So he went home and used his 3D printer to make it and installed it on the thing because it was bothering him every time he walked past it. Anyway, yeah, check it out. It's pretty funny. You'll enjoy it.
Along with finding out about this celebrity poker tournament, we also find out that Wags is drinking so much that even after he showers, he's still sweating it out.
Yeah, it tells him to go shower again.
So much booze.
Yeah.
But then we get breakfast, and I was very, very excited because Axe sits down with Boyd, who is played by Eric Bogosian, who is one of those That Guy actors that I absolutely love.
Oh, God, he's so creepy.
He's the bad guy from Under Siege 2, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. The colon under Dark Territory is important. Dark, yeah. But I know him best. He played Dr. Cox's psychologist on an episode of Scrubs, and he's a very good actor, and I was very excited to see him popping up in this. And he is now the subject of Rhodes's attention and ire.
Mm-hmm.
So we cut over there to Rhodes's office where they're like, "What do we have on this guy?" And
Kate
the answer
Sacker,
is fucking nothing.
Yeah, they have nothing except Kate Sacker has some dirt on a flight attendant, which is not actually dirt, and it's kind of fucked up what they end up doing to this girl. But hey, we'll get to that this season. Then we bounce over to Axelrod's office, and holy shit, it's the adjudicator.
But one thing, did you guys get the feeling that things were kind of frosty between Chuck and Brian?
Yeah.
Oh, right, because he gave him a not-so-subtle thing about, all right, maybe I'll find something, maybe
You'll tell me. And so I'm going to say last time on, Brian was like, hey, Chuck's going too far, trying to take down Axelrod, and I know something that'll, that if I tell Chuck, he won't give up. Like, it's not anything, but it's too tantalizing for him to not give it all up. And so I'm just going to hide it from him. And Chuck moves around it and figures everything out anyway. And so Brian not only hid something that ended up being inconsequential, but broke the trust.
Oh, damn it, Brian.
Also, he took his personal ketchup bottle.
If someone takes my ranch dressing from the fridge, ooh, there will be fights. We'll throw hands. Anyway.
Is it Southwest Ranch?
It's this ranch that I make myself, the almond milk. It's actually really good.
Is all ranch in the Southwest technically Southwest Ranch? Like when I was Hawaii, technically every shirt I was wearing was a Hawaiian shirt.
And every pizza was a Hawaiian pizza.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Okay, so
we then get Taylor getting explained the Alpha Cup.
Mm-hmm. And Dollar Bill is pissed because he got kicked off the poker team. And, man, it's really fucked up what he says. He's all just like, man, I got to the finals for the past 3 years. And he's like, that's also a different way of saying for 3 years you lost.
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude. It's brutal.
Which I like that this Dollar Bill character, because he is the whiny bitch that a lot of alpha guys don't think that they are. And it's just like, no, man, you're a whiny complainer. Like, but I almost made the final table. And it's like, nobody cares.
On his Facebook profile, he has Sigma male underneath under his.
Oh, and his email signature is a fancy $sign bill
with a Sun Tzu misquote at the end of his email signature. And at the end, he actually says, everything he measures himself by has been called into question. I'm like, Jesus Christ, because you got kicked off the poker team? Well, no wonder you got kicked off your poker team. You can't keep your feelings in check like that. Anyway.
There's a lot of subtext pointed at Taylor's gender ambiguity.
Yes. And I
this
noticed
is the start of that, and it plays a lot nastier throughout the course of the episode.
I noticed that they only ever referred to Taylor with a pronoun once, and it was actually Dollar Bill referring to Taylor as they. And you know what? If I could just take a moment.
Go for it.
I've been meaning to make a post about this on DMTV, but, in the early 2010s when I first discovered non-binary and people who go by they, them, I was dismissive of it. I'll admit, I didn't take it seriously. Shortly after, I had an epiphany, and...
I'm sorry.
I've just had an apostrophe.
I think you mean an epiphany.
Lightning has just struck my brain.
Well, that must hurt.
Yeah, that I don't like being called Vic. And when people call me Vic, I say, please don't call me that. Call me Victor, call me V. I just don't like
sorry.
But every time I've done that, people respected it right away. Like, oh, no problem. You don't like being called that? Fine. Then I'm like, how is that any different than a pronoun? And it's like, I had a realization about, perspective on life. It's like you can't see things from someone else's perspective. If being called he or being called she gives them the same ick feeling that I get when someone calls me Vic, which you guys are fine. I'm used to it by now. But just how strange it is that it's pretty universal that anytime I said that, people would acknowledge it and respect it instantly. But when someone says, I prefer to go by they, it gets a weird reaction from people. They're like, what? So anyway, just hey, this has been Victor, your internet dipshit today, to give you some modern advice.
You learned and you grew as a person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's noteworthy.
We're all on a journey, and we want that journey to be going good places.
Yeah.
So,
take
just something to consider. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir with our audience, like any,
I feel like I hope our audience is a very accepting group.
Yeah.
Everyone that I've talked to from
you never
our
know.
audience has been.
Yeah,
So.
I wanted to put that out there just in case anyone is in an Uber listening to this podcast with some MAGA dipshit. It just happens to overhear it. Maybe it'll do some good in the world.
Yeah, just as long as we all understand, hey, just accepting somebody at like the very basic level of their name, and also just finding out so many people would have failed a 6th grade pronoun quiz because they're like, they is only plural. No, it's not. Like, come on.
Yep. This is what happens when you defund education.
We cut over to Wendy and Todd Krakow, who's a very short man.
New character Todd shows up at Maggie's place.
I hate this guy.
Oh,
This guy sucks!
What?
He's an idiot and his plan is stupid. He's gonna get you all killed because he only cares about himself.
he is so smarmy, and it made me realize I think it's a universal truth that everyone knows a douchebag named Todd.
So,
I don't know. The only good Todd I know of in TV is Todd from Community, who is destroyed by the study group. But Todd from Breaking Bad, worst Todd.
Which one was Todd in Breaking Bad?
Jesse Plemons?
Oh, yeah, terrible Todd. Worst Todd. Oh, dude, he's a level 10
Nazi Todd.
Yeah. Worst Todd ever.
I'm checking my phone here. I don't think I know a Todd.
I know a Todd, and he's actually a pretty cool guy.
I have a Todd, too. He's my neighbor, actually, and he's actually the best Todd I've ever met. I always trust him to watch my dog whenever I go out of town, and he absolutely loves her. And he's not even a dog person. He has 2 cats, but he's a great guy.
But he has a $5,000 spa gift card because he's like, hey, Wendy, you seem like the kind of person who has $5,000 but will never spend it on yourself. So here's $5,000 you can't go spend reasonably, which I kind of understand. I am absolutely that way, where it's just like, hey, but this could go towards, goods and necessities. I'm not going to, spend it on something fun.
I've always gone on record of saying that the best gift is the thing that someone wants that will never buy for themselves.
That's good advice. Look at this. We got 2 good advices in one episode.
Yes,
But
so
he
yeah,
offers her
tries
this
to do it
devil's
nice.
he offers her this devil's bargain of, hey, be my poker coach. One, because hey, we both know it'll throw Axe off of his game. And 2, it means everyone will see you are out here not beholden to Axe and being your own person, and so maybe they'll hire you for consulting. So we now know definitively she is not working for Axelrod anymore.
Right.
Yep. She's also not helping underprivileged people.
No.
She went into consulting for rich white dudes.
Short, rich white dudes.
Yeah, I feel like they really went out of their way to emphasize the height difference here, because like every scene that Todd is talking to someone, he's looking up.
Yeah.
So we cut over to some nerd digging into the DA's office in a plot
Nerd.
I'm sure would make more sense if I could give a fuck about it. I'm sure Axelrod started this, but I want us to get weird with it.
Let's get
I can get weird.
Oh,
Let's get
is this
weird
the-
with it.
This is the...
This is the scene where Axelrod gets into a car with some dude?
No.
No.
This is where Kate is
The
being
assistant
interviewed
assistant.
by...
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay, in my notes I said that suddenly Kate is transported back in time to a set of Mad Men.
Yeah, where we
So,
have
aside
lawyer
from the-
internal affairs.
Yeah. Aside from the Macintosh on the desk, this looks like an office in the 60s, especially with the way this guy is dressed.
We hear in this interview that Kate caught a compromised employee. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, did somebody dig up some dirt? Or did somebody, decide to take the money instead of doing the right thing? No, it's neither of those things. See, in the background of 3 episodes of Season 1, inside the law firm was Damian Lewis with a big fake beard. Just hanging around at the DA's office, looking through papers. And she finally was like, hey, wait a minute. You're Axelrod, and ripped off his fake beard, and he had to scamper away. So that is what happened, and everybody else is feeling really down on themselves because they're like, oh man, the guy we were chasing was here in a big fake beard.
I'm going to say that there was an intern there at Rhodes' office who was also a client of Wendy. Wendy is Rhodes' wife, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they had a tape leak of one of their sessions together where he's tied up, he's hanging from the roof by his balls, and he's, getting peed on and everything. And during this session, he is revealed that he actually had a crush on Kate Sacker. And while he's getting, golden showered right in the face, and that's why she's being investigated. I know we're supposed to get weird with it, but I feel like this type of thing is not too uncommon in that private sector of the world.
All right, so I agree there was some shenanigans. I think this goes back to that scene with that judicial appointment. I think that Rhodes put in a recommendation for someone for a judgeship, and it ended up that they were like a complete scumbag, and now that's coming back on them. Which I know isn't as funny as either of your guys', but to
Yeah,
be
where's the
honest,
weird-
I've got the image of Paul Giamatti dangling from the roof by his balls right now stuck in my head, Vic. So thanks for that, and it's not leaving, so I really don't know what else to do.
That's what I do.
I'm going to go scratch my eyeballs out.
Actually, there is a great subreddit called Eye Bleach, and it's great. It's to just go there anytime you need to get something out of your head. It's full of cute videos of kittens and puppies and boobies and anything that'll just take your mind off what is
That's
currently
why
plaguing your brain.
That's why I go to We Rate Dogs.
Oh, that's a good one.
But then we cut over to Taylor. Taylor is turning down the offer to play poker. Used to play poker, didn't like who it made him, and so they say no. And now we have our interview with our flight attendant, where they
Yeah.
are being told, like, hey, you overheard something. You invested all of your money into a stock that went up, and then, sold it. That's insider trading. And
Well, they never directly accuse her of anything.
no,
They are
they're
very
clever that
careful
way.
with their words. They're implying it, and this is a really fucked up practice. I mean, they're trying to push her enough so she'll crack, but not to the point where she'll ask for a lawyer, which, hey, guys, always lawyer up.
Right.
Fucking always lawyer up.
And
Anyway,
they good cop, bad cop her,
Very obviously good cop, bad cop,
and
yeah.
Brian Honeypotzer, which...
And by the way, listeners, there's some things that I learned that this reminded me of. Just the fact that they can't actually accuse her of anything because she didn't do anything wrong. This is a strategy employed by some debt collectors as well. Like, I was going to a dentist once, and their billing department called me and said that my insurance company underpaid them. And I knew what they were doing. They were trying to imply that I was responsible for the rest, and they're like, no, that's not how it works. It's between you and my insurance company. You two work it out. And I said, okay, are we done? And the person on the other end of the phone, they were very careful to never actually tell me that I owed them money, because I didn't. They just said, well, we can set you up with a payment plan. I'm like, no, don't ever call me again. And I switched dentists. So, just FYI.
Felt so bad. I once had a friend who she was... distraught, sad. Her grandmother had died in a lot of debt.
Yes.
And implied to her dad that you owe us all of the money from your mom's passing.
Yeah.
No, they can take whatever the estate has, and that's it.
They can't come after the next of kin.
I was sitting there listening to my friend's story, because her dad had gone and sold his house, and so she had to go back to her childhood home to pick up the last of her stuff, because dad had to sell his house to cover grandma's bills. And I had to be like, you didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't come after your dad's house because your grandma owed money. And I think I made it worse. Where she's just like, wait, we sold the house for nothing? For scumbags? And I was
coming after people while they're in grief. Trying to trick them into thinking they owe money that they don't. That's so fucked up, man. Yeah. No, that happened to me when I was 17 when my dad died. The fucking doctor's office he was going to called... What is it with fucking doctors? Oh, wait, no, it was just a therapist that called me up and tried to imply that I was responsible for his unpaid bills. I'm like, fuck you guys, man. Dude,
it's happened to my mom twice, both when my dad passed and my grandmother passed. And both times, it was such a small amount where she's just like, I'll just fucking pay it and never have to deal with you. And I'm just all like, Mom, this happened to you once, and we talked about how you didn't need to do it, and you did it again.
Oh, Jesus.
But then we cut over to Axe and Laura, and they're talking about the foosball.
Are they in the mansion? I couldn't tell. It's from season 1 that they were talking about from the previous episode. Okay. So we actually bought the mansion, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so here we find out what Axe's game is. Doesn't actually care about Boyd. What he's doing is he's propping up Boyd, giving him all of his resources and access, because if he helps Boyd win, then that knocks Rhodes down a peg. Mm-hmm. If Rhodes still is able to take Boyd down, he knows everything Boyd tried to get out of it. And so he wins either way.
Yeah, it's kind of a good move, I got to say.
Real Xanatos.
Yeah. But he also gets a text from Wendy saying, hey, I'm coaching Todd.
Yep.
Fucking Todd.
And I'd like to point out that in this scene, we find out that Bobby is the kind of sociopath who doesn't have a case for his smartphone. And it's like, I know what he's thinking. He has such an obscene amount of money that if he drops his phone, he can just buy a new one. But if he just spent $15 on a case, he wouldn't have to replace his phone if he dropped it. But, this irritates the hell out of me. I'm like, Bobby, you sick fuck. Oh, and did you guys take a look at his contacts, his favorites in his contacts list?
No.
Taylor is up high. So is Dollar Bill, but he also has Danzig.
Danzig?
It says Danzig. And I'm like, okay, is this a character named Danzig, or are we talking about the grunge metal band here?
But he reacts to this poorly, calls up Taylor, and is like, no, you're playing. Talk to Dr. Gus. Get over whatever you got to get over.
Yeah. We found out Taylor drives a Mini Cooper.
We cut over to Kate talking to Boyd from Dollhouse.
Oh, I knew him as the resistance leader in The Matrix.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's Kate's dad. And apparently he would have been the Martian Manhunter if the DCEU hadn't been canceled. So.
Oh, you would have been great at that.
Yeah!
And we find out that Kate and Brian at one point hooked up.
Yes! So which totally makes sense now that in the previous scene, or is it the later scene? Or anyway, in the scene where Rhodes tells Brian to do the honeypot, that's where she gets a little visibly irritated. I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense now.
And he gives her the advice, hey, you're never going to be Chuck's number 2. Line yourself up to be whoever replaces Chuck's number 2.
Yeah.
And I noticed that Kate said that if Brian gets passed, I think it was Brian she was referring to, that if he gets passed over, everything, his purpose in his life will be called into question, which is the same thing Dollar Bill said at the beginning of the episode. So, interesting.
Drawing those connections, Vic.
Yeah, I don't know if they drew connections or if they just copy and pasted the same line and were being lazy. Could be.
Well, I mean, I think our show really likes doing parallels between the good guys and the bad guys.
It's showing how fragile the egos are of men in big positions of power.
Well, people just in general.
That's true.
And now we cut over to we had our good therapy session at the beginning, and now we have our bad therapy session, which later, at least, Axe is like able to say, like, you did not attend therapy. Like, that is not what Dr. Gus is.
Dr. Gus might actually just be Andrew Tate.
I know.
Yeah, it's not therapy, it's evil HR. And that's saying something because it's HR.
We get another, what I call the dick-swinging, white-collar fuck you speech from the fucking psychiatrist. And the way he claps, he was like to get Taylor's attention, like, clap, clap. I've had more fucking therapy than you. Like, what the hell? What kind of a flex is that?
Well,
Taylor did say, well, I've had 900 hours of therapy. So
927.
Thank you, Ben.
But yeah, Taylor is trying to not only deflect and be dismissive, but I did like Dr. Gus is just like, hey, stop it. This isn't therapy. I work for your boss, not for you. My job is to get you to play poker, not for you to self-actualize.
The doctor actually got through to Taylor with his final speech where he said, every time you don't go after something you want because you're scared or something like that, a little piece of you dies inside. And it made me sad for every time I didn't biggie size my fries.
See, the problem there,
you
Vic,
learned the lesson.
Victor, every time you biggie size, a different part of you dies.
That's
your kidneys.
Nice, very nice.
Your heart grows 2 sizes because of the salt content.
Oh, God, so much salt. So, meanwhile, Chuck is selling his Winston Churchill book collection.
Yeah, these are
and
cool.
he has
Go ahead.
I was just saying he has a very obvious tail on him. The guy flipping through pages and a book behind him and not looking at the book.
Yeah.
It's one
but
of
these are
Axel
Winston
Rudnick,
Churchill's personal books sent to General Montgomery, who led the British Army in World War II. Like, these are, like, should be in a museum things. Mm-hmm. He gets $40,000 for them.
So the Montgomery autograph does make them a bit more special. This is a set of 6 books that Winston Churchill wrote about World War II. Mm-hmm. It's Churchill's World War II. I actually found these exact editions online.
Really?
Yeah, guess how much they ran for. Not autographed, just a normal set of this edition of this book.
Oh, I'm going to
$8,000?
say 6 figures at least.
$5,500.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah. Ben, you win.
You can get a much less nice set for a couple $100s. This is
I'm
actually,
sure
on
there's
my Amazon
reprints
wish
and-
list. Yeah. But yeah, the $40K, I mean, he'd probably sell them for $80.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I mean, that's the nature of
how
this kind of stuff.
the resale value, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, he's doing this because in the opening scene with him and Wendy in therapy, she was pressuring him to get his own apartment. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I was a little confused about this at first. He's like, he's going to have to sell something to pay for an apartment, but I'm like, oh yeah, they're in New York.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
And he was living, hey, I've got a wife who makes million,
Right.
life.
Yeah. But
Which
even
means he can put his money into, hey, I've got like first edition Winston Churchill books. And I did appreciate him being like, hey, signing a lease means this is going to be a much more permanent proposition.
not just going through a rough patch or
Yeah.
something. Oof. Yeah, been there.
But at the same time, I find it hard to, like, you've got a book worth more than most people's cars. I have a hard time feeling too bad for you, Chuck.
They're installing a ridiculously large microphone on this flight attendant's inner thigh. And we get the obvious scene where she asks the big sweaty dude to step out.
So then Brian can put it on. And then she's like, does it look okay?
Is he staring at her ass?
Yeah.
Is it incredibly visible?
And then she steps out of another very obvious surveillance van. Then it's poker time over at the Alpha tournament.
And Wendy showing up does put Axe out of sorts, just as suspected.
I feel like it's kind of a power move that Bobby shows up wearing a hoodie while everyone else is in, like, formal wear.
A little bit, for sure.
Yeah. Then Lawrence Boyd shows up, and it's like someone popped a balloon, and everyone's like, oh, that guy.
Yeah.
Yep, he's screwed, and we all know it. But Boyd's reason he says he's here to just see who his friends are and aren't, but we quickly learn that's bullshit. He's here to meet up with Peter via Axe.
Axe introduces Boyd to his fixer, and Boyd just immediately starts talking, and the fixer, I did appreciate, is just like, no, Axe leaves first. Until we know each other real well, the three of us never have a conversation together. And it reminded me of the Benjamin Franklin quote that 3 can keep a secret if 2 of them are dead.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then we get our poker montage, where I want to ask you guys,
Yeah.
how much do you guys like poker?
I used to play it back in the day. Done it in a while. I really like Balatro. So.
Because I don't know, I'm one of those people that, like, I love poker. I enjoy it a whole lot. I was one of those guys who back in the heyday of 10 hours a day on ESPN was poker coverage. Like, I love that. But it does make me absolutely hate most of the time when poker is on TV. Because it's so bad. Like, I absolutely hate every time they play poker in Star Trek because they play the worst version of poker I have ever seen.
I will raise you 3.
No cards? The best poker face I've ever seen.
It's true.
But here we get our hand between Axelrod and Todd, where Axelrod has Ace King suited, which is a 1.2% chance of happening.
Oh, wow.
Up against pocket 3s. Any pair dealt to you is a little bit more common. It's about 5%. Then they bet horribly based on this. It seems like Axelrod does not understand, like, somebody could have, a pocket pair. That never occurs to him. But we get one of those only happens in TV hands where they've both got something where, like, a lot of times 2 pair is good enough to win a hand of poker.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's 2 pair up against 3 of a kind.
I only know off the top of my head that 3 of a kind beats 2 pair because of all the Balatro that I've played lately.
We also get the thing you only ever see in TV and movie poker, where both people go all in and have the same amount of chips. Where
That's right.
They, like, the announcer even says, whoever loses will be going home rich but unhappy. And it's like, no, one of $200 worth of chips left. And, like, they wouldn't have exactly the same amounts. That's not how poker works.
Right.
And they do this again at the end of the episode.
What did you think of the poker scene in Casino Royale? What's the % chance of those
Oh,
hands
it's
being
infinitesimal. Because everybody has something, and that just doesn't happen.
So it might make sense for the last table, depending on how they structure the tournament, Ben. Because if they have 2 final tables, so there's only 2 players left, and it's the winner of each of those 2 tables, then goes to a 1-on-1. Like, you could organize the tournament in a way where they would have the exact same amount of chips regardless.
But that would imply that the hand
It's
we
their
see
first
is
hand.
the only hand at that final table.
Yes.
It could happen.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Gale is talking to Bobby's wife at the bar, and he orders Mitchell's Celebration, which I didn't know what this was. I had to Google it because the bartender said it was $800 a glass.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
when I looked this up, it's like $800 a glass. How much does a bottle cost? And I couldn't get dude. The results I got were between $6,000 for a bottle and $40,000 for a bottle.
That is one thing you'll see a lot of when you get to drinks above like $50, $60, you get crazy price gouging from people who that like boomer, I know what I've got, no low balls.
Yeah.
I actually, one of my favorite memories of Jafar, it was Weller, right? Jafar, you'll remember this.
Yeah. Is this the Weller Special Reserve that I saw for, how much was it? Because I've seen it for
Over
some
$200
crazy prices. For $200. Okay, so Weller Special Reserve in Michigan. So Michigan does not require state minimum alcohol pricing. And it's a hot bourbon market. And so Mr. Special Reserve is something that can be sold in the state for over $30. It's got a minimum of $30, which is what it sells for in Ohio if you drive an hour and a half away, where it is a very common bottle to find. I've personally been through probably a case of this stuff myself.
It's very good.
Because it's good. I'll drive down to Ohio. I'll buy a couple bottles for like $30. I'll bring them up. I'll trade them for other bottles with people. But when a liquor store has it up here, the cheapest I've seen it for is $50, and I've seen it for upwards of $200 a bottle.
Good Lord, man. And that's Scotch you're talking about, or is that whiskey?
No, this is just bourbon.
Bourbon. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Bourbon and Scotch. I noticed from what little I know, those prices get outrageous. Man. And I tried to buy myself a bottle of top tier tequila when I got my back pay finally, because I finally had some money to spend. And I was trying to track down a bottle of Fortaleza, and that is only $200 a bottle, right?
Yeah.
But I really wanted to treat myself, but I couldn't find it anywhere. It was all sold out. So anyway, listeners, if any of you guys want to get me an early birthday present,
But I always remember this because we were at this gas station, and we had just been talking about this Weller and how crazy the upcharges were, and it's like $50 is almost doubling the price, and this guy had it up for $200, and he's like, $200? It's like, that's the price, man. I was like, no, it's not. You can buy it for $30 in Ohio. And this guy was like incredulous with us, like, no, that's how much this is worth. It's a $200 bottle. It's like, no.
yeah, he's like,
Good
but
luck
I'm
selling
saving
it, bro.
But I'm saving you a trip to Ohio.
That
I'll sell you 3 for $150 a piece right now. Fuck.
So Bobby gets bounced out of the tournament by Todd. Gale takes home a bottle of Mitchers. And Laura asks him, how do you get up in the morning? And he says he gets an IV. You guys ever done this?
I've heard about it.
Dude, it's legit, man. We used to do this shit back in the days when I was in the Army. It works like a fucking charm. And I know my fellow veterans in the Discord, they can confirm this. And it's like, no, dude, you do not need a personal patient concierge to get you a fucking private room. We just did that shit ourselves, man. We just go over to the medic and be like, hey, doc, I'm still drunk. Toss me an IV. You just sit down on the curb in the parking lot and stab yourself with a needle. Oh, fun fact.
Most advanced fighting force in the world.
Dude, yeah. On like a Wednesday morning when everyone's still fucking hungover. And fun fact, it's not the IV that cures your hangover. It just gives you enough of a boost to be able to make it through the 5-mile run in the morning. After about mile 1, you puke. And that cures the hangover, dude, and you feel like $1 million afterwards. You're like, oh yeah, I can just cure it. You feel great. Now, and you can always tell who the new guys were because they would puke on themselves, right? They think like they try to hold it down. No, don't try to hold it down, man. You got to go off to the side and just let it out. The experienced dudes, the guys who've been in for a while, they don't even stop running, man. They just tilt their head and just like they're like a semi truck giving off like exhaust, and they just let it fly, and then you're good to go.
Oh boy.
I am so glad those days are behind me. Fuck that shit. I'm so happy to be retired.
We then are heads up in poker, where Axe is being the devil on Taylor's shoulder. Just like, no, you gotta be a killer. You gotta have that killer instinct. And Taylor reveals that, actually, I didn't quit playing poker. I was kicked out because no one wanted to play with me anymore. And for a person who is already kind of socially isolated, being even more socially isolated hurt and sucked. And, you know, it was another reason for people to hate me. And he's like, hey, I don't care. Go win.
But is this where they... Wait, no, this is not... We're not at the part where Taylor is at the final...
This is the final table where they have their heads up all in. Neither of them hit what they were going for, and Taylor wins with a 10 high.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
Which is, but it's also like, that is how a poker hand can end. But it's also like, I guess it's showing Todd was being impotent and angry and dismissive, and it's just like, yeah, but neither of you hit anything, which just, that is part of poker. Just statistics happen. The best player doesn't always win.
Well, I think it also has to do with the tactic that Taylor employed when they sat down at the table. Todd was talking some trash, and Taylor hits him with some existential dread.
Yeah.
Talks about how in 100 years from now is any of this going to matter and all this shit. And
so they do bring up the singularity, which
the singularity.
Taylor is exactly the kind of person who's like spent a lot of time thinking about Rocco's Basilisk.
Editor's note: don't Google Rocco's Basilisk.
It's like, no.
So
stop it.
Hey, Laura, earmuffs for the next 5 seconds. Taylor reminds me of one of the Battlestar Galactica Cylon hybrids in this scene. Just spitting off these crazy facts with a straight face and shit, and or a blank face expression. Dude, I'm going to try that in my next chess game. Try to hit my opponent with some existential dreads.
Have you thought about the move you're making 5 from now? How about 50? How about 350?
Have you thought about the fact that there will one point be a day long after your death when the last person who remembers you dies and you'll be dead forever?
Laura has started up her new side hustle where she shows up to the office with nurses with IVs. And
so I live next to a college campus, and I've seen business cards for this exact same thing at the liquor stores around here. It's like, feeling hungover, get an IV delivered.
Yeah, and so they're doing this for $1,000 a pop. We find out that they stopped in Chicago, and an unknown person came on. And it turns out that Boyd has been stooping his, I believe, CFO's wife. Mm-hmm. Which...
Someone, yeah.
Everyone... This is Ben, not your internet lawyer, but if you recall a while ago, I told you, hey, if you're going to do one crime at a time. If you've got drugs in the car, don't speed. If you're going to do financial crimes, and someone knows those crimes, don't sleep with their wife. Come on. This is dumb shit. Like, this is basic stuff.
Listeners, that is 3 pieces of good advice you've got in this episode.
If somebody if somebody out there knows about your crimes,
don't stick it to their spouse.
Or their sister or brother or family or
anyone that could possibly upset them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Then Chuck presents the sex tape that our flight attendant took. And she went above and beyond, even though she knew that at this point, she knew she hadn't done anything wrong. She was being used.
She did it for Brian.
But, and this is exactly what I was thinking when they were taping up that stupidly big microphone to her thigh, that it didn't pick up anything, so she just whipped out her phone. I mean, I was thinking that the whole time. Well, I'm like, dude, just get a freaking iPod Nano and put it on record, and she can put it in her bra or something. Anyway.
But we show it to this, I think, CFO, and he has a bit where it's clear that the person who wrote this script was not in the room or thinking about the blocking, because he's sitting there in front of a laptop with headphones on, and he goes, turn it off. It's like waiting for somebody else to turn it off, and he doesn't take off the headphones or just close
Right,
the laptop.
Yeah, I was thinking that same thing.
Where it's just like, you have agency in this place, man. If you don't want to listen to your wife having sex with somebody. But it turns out that Boyd was rigging treasuries.
And,
Yep.
dude, this guy says that he was friends with Boyd. He trusted him. He said he and his wife spent weekends at his compound. What the fuck is a compound?
That is how I know
series of
you're
houses.
a peasant, Victor.
What the hell? I've only heard the term compound in relation to a cult or something, or a terrorist cell.
Well, it's a collection of homestead buildings, right?
Yeah.
And so it would be your house, and then instead of having like a guest room, you have a guest house that someone would stay at.
Man, if anyone ever invites me to their compound, I would be very uneasy.
You know you're getting in a
probably should.
standoff with the ATF.
Yeah.
In Texas, I would not go into a compound.
Woo, yeah.
But
and
then
Chuck tells him that he's very obviously manipulating McKinnon here.
Mm-hmm.
And the speech he gives him at the end about how he heaved his seed into your bride. What the fuck, man? What are you doing this weekend, man? I'm going to go heave some seeds.
We also
never
find out
again.
here that Axe, because of his spies, purchased the World War II...
The Churchills.
World War II, and he isn't even going to display it. Just put it in storage. Also, buy every other copy.
Fucking pettiness.
But we also find out in the scene that no one wants Axelrod to buy an NFL team because the 9/11 allegations came out.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened to her?
In my notes, I wrote, is this confirmation? Is Axe responsible for 9/11? Which is exactly what I think.
Axe did 9/11?
I think not directly, but I do think that he might have been working with some organizations that might have been funneling money to a certain Bin Laden, and he loses all hero cred. It wasn't enough to like put him in jail, obviously. Like whatever it is, it can't be bad enough where he's like immediately convicted of treason or something, right? So he had some money that he didn't know that was helped fund it somehow. Enough to shame him publicly, but not enough to put him behind bars.
I wonder if maybe it's had something to do with opium. Maybe he had some kind of dealings with the opium trade because like that was an Al-Qaeda thing, like how they got some of their funding maybe. But then again, that would have been...
Smuggle it into the States hide the opium in alcohol. Just call it laudanum.
Oh, man, I could go for some laudanum right about now.
Can we stop talking about laudanum?
You know, if you've ever seen those, no, I can't fix her, but she can make me worse. It's that, but with laudanum.
All right.
And that is the end of our episode.
That's the episode. It's time to roll these bones.
Roll them bones.
We got 3d6 here. We'll see how many
Fireball.
episodes we're skipping.
Rolling.
Oh,
What?
that is an all-time first for this podcast. I have rolled 3 ones.
What? Oh,
So we are skipping 3 episodes.
man, we were just talking about probabilities.
Yeah, that is uncommon. I don't think I've ever rolled absolute minimum before in the history.
I don't
of
think
pod.
so.
So that takes us. We're skipping 3 episodes, which brings us 4 ahead to season 2, episode 7, Victory Lap. Axe assembles a war room in the Hamptons, following a disastrous setback in Sandicott for Axe capital. The fate of the town hangs in the balance while Axe seeks counsel on how to reconcile losses. Meanwhile, Chuck capitalizes on a high-profile victory, but alienates Wendy in the process, causing the couple to change the status of their separation.
Oh.
It's quite an episode description.
Well, it's time for everyone's favorite part of the episode. Blinken, what are you doing up there?
Lincoln, what are you doing up there?
Guessing?
I guess no one's coming.
I have seen into the future.
You ruined the prophecy.
I forgot to make predictions, so I wrote them down, came up with them real quick while Jafar was giving us his get weird with it speech. So
Okay.
So I can
What do
go
you got?
first. So I'm going for an easy one for my daytime prediction, my 1-point prediction. This is for episodes that we see on this podcast. We're going to witness a Star Trek reference. I feel like that's an easy one.
Okay.
All right.
Evening prediction, Wendy loses her license.
Oh.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm going for another downer. And for my primetime prediction, Chuck is going to be relieved of duty as the DA.
Okay.
You said duty.
Say duty.
Go for it.
My daytime prediction. Wendy actually works with the underprivileged at some point.
That might be a prime time.
Yeah.
She got some shit for it this episode. If she didn't get
Right.
shit for it this episode from Axe, I would have said the exact opposite. She never does. But when he's all like, oh, really great job with the underprivileged there helping in Krakow, she clearly takes it personally. And so I think that's going to be her next turn. My evening prediction, Taylor is going to betray Axe to Chuck.
Ah. I was for
And then-
sure you were going to... Go ahead.
No.
You were going to say we're never going to see Taylor again.
Oh, if we were going into season 3, 100%. I actually had that written down before I rolled the dice. My primetime prediction, Chuck and Wendy will reconcile, but for a bonus point, it will not happen before the season 3 finale.
Ah, okay. Nicely done. All right, Ben, you're up to the plate.
All right. I'm going to need to move something around. Okay.
No, I got to say, it was really weird seeing the actor play Taylor. I'd seen them before in, I think it was John Wick 3 as the adjudicator. A very different role, which, like, if you haven't seen John Wick 3, it's a fun popcorn movie. You guys should go see it.
TikTok, Mr. Wick.
TikTok.
I love Jason Mantzoukas.
Yes.
So my
Are you
daytime...
watching the new Taskmaster season?
I have not, but I know he's on
Okay.
it. I've been watching him in Prodigy, though. My daytime prediction, they never play poker again. This never comes up again. We never see the Alpha Cup 2, Dark Territory. My evening prediction, Brian and Kate push Chuck out, but he gets back in. And then my primetime prediction, Wendy and Chuck divorce, but then reconcile.
Ah.
Okay.
I had to move that around because that was my evening prediction, but since Jafar made a Wendy and Chuck prediction, I made one.
Okay.
Nice. And that's
All right.
our episode.
With
Yeah,
that, we
that's
will
it.
see you guys next time. Thank yous first.
Yeah, we got to say thank you first. Hey, Ripe! On the off chance you're listening to this episode or not. Thanks so much for letting us use Goon Squad as a theme song. We appreciate the hell out of it, and we appreciate the hell out of you. They just announced some more tour dates for this late summer. Go give them a listen on whatever streaming services. Go see them live. It's a fantastic fucking show.
Yeah, they're coming to Dallas on the 23rd, and if I haven't moved out by then yeah, I'm hoping I can go score a ticket and go see them. It's a Friday, so it might be tricky. But yeah, if you're in the Dallas area and you're not doing anything on the 23rd, come hang out with me at the Ripe concert.
Hell yeah.
Thank you to you, the listener. If you'd like to send us a message, head over to voicecast.app /LTO. Voicecast is a great service. You do not have to sign up. You don't have to log in. You don't have to do anything. You just go to that URL and use it. You can send us a text. You can record a voice message. We haven't gotten any messages yet. What are you doing, guys? Come on. I know you want to talk to us in the Discord, but you can also just talk to us in the Discord.
And we will see you next time on Last Time On.